We're talking Facebook today, but I think we'll go a little broader in terms of what's impacting that as well.
This stuff is so much more simple than SEO. The days of copy and pasting on Facebook are over, as from this month.
What type of revenue can people look at when it comes to moving into a Facebook environment and running a bunch of pages?
I've made 750,000 organically, but that's across all. If you're just starting out, you'll maybe make $10, $20 a day, but as you scale up, potential's there to make 20, 30,000 a month.
I've talked to a lot of people that have kind of given up on trying to get their page into the monetization program because they don't understand it.
High quality, organic, original content. That's what Facebook wants, and that's what it's going to reward people for.
What type of approach are you taking to buying those followers first?
We found out some techniques. You can actually buy followers, quality followers in the US for around about $0.01.
Is there a conflict of interest in terms of publishing the same type of stuff?
There's no such thing as oversaturation. You can have 10,000 camping pages and you'll do absolutely fine.
What is upsetting to Facebook?
The thing that Facebook really hates is...
All right. Welcome back to the Niche Pursuits podcast. My name is Jared Bauman. Today we have a returning guest, Andy Scraga with hikeyourlikes.com. Andy, welcome back.
Hey, it's good to be back, Jared. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you as well. You know, your episode, I should have pulled it up probably 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, about 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago, summertime. I remember summertime, a little bit different seasons right now, but it was really well received. One of the most popular ones of the year. We got a lot of people commenting, a lot of questions on it, and a lot has changed in the landscape.
Yeah, I mean, last 2
media.
years has been crazy.
Each of these years, the last couple of years has been crazy, and now we've got to try to catch up on a couple of them. But we're talking Facebook today, but I think we'll go a little broader in terms of what's impacting that as well. Before we get into today's topic and all that, catch us up on who you are, especially for people who might not have heard the first episode. We will link to it, but just give us a little backstory on yourself.
Yeah, so I've been involved in web development and SEO for about well over 20 years. But I got into Facebook about 12 years ago, and I got pretty obsessed with it. It was such a quick way to kind of make money online at the time. So back then, it was basically merchandise and links is what we were making money from. So everything from linking to a monetized website to, I used to sell t-shirts on there, affiliate links, that kind of thing. And over 12 years, obviously, it's evolved massively to the point where we're at now, where it's changed a lot.
I mean, I'll kind of summarize last time for us, just to give us a little context. We talked about, and you really broke down some of the strategies, most of the strategies you were using to drive millions of visitors, pure Facebook organic traffic.
Mm-hmm.
We got into why SEO style posts weren't working there. They don't work there. This was right after HCU. So a lot of people looking, what do I do with my HCU, my SEO posts that are now no longer getting organic traffic perhaps? So we talked about, how to adapt that content, how to get your first 10,000 followers, link and comment, these types of things. So I'd say today we're picking up where we left off, but there's a lot of new stuff. We've got the new content monetization program. We've got AI content production, and really where is that at in terms of Facebook? We'll get into your numbers, but maybe talk from your vantage point about where we're picking up from that last interview 2.5 years ago. What has changed, and what do we need to talk about today from a high level?
Yeah, so 2 years ago, people are very focused on getting their traffic from Facebook rather than Google, because obviously the HCU hit and there was all these updates to Google. So most people are actually interested in getting traffic from Facebook. But they introduced the performance bonus. So it was just starting to come around about 2024, summer 2024. I started seeing people earning $6,000 a month just from that, not from the links. So they were basically doubling up the traffic. They were doubling up their revenue from traffic to bonuses. So what happened then is that this content monetization came about from the performance bonus. They basically rebranded it and just started making this thing more and more of a thing. I mean, it's still in beta at the moment, but it's about to go into production, I'm sure, this year, maybe early next year. And people are really starting to wake up and notice, because this is making Facebook more like YouTube, where you become a content creator and you get rewarded for putting some original content on there. So that's really been my focus. And last year, it's really focused on content monetization more so than links.
Tell us where you're at in terms of Facebook, and just to give people context in terms of what you're involved in. Share it however you want, whether it's in terms of dollars, whether it's in terms of number of Facebook, pages, groups you're running, whatever it is. Give us some context so we can go into this understanding where you're coming at it from.
I like to keep things really simple. I just run pages. I don't really run groups. I've got around 25 pages across different niches. So I was always involved in quizzes for kind of the past 6, 7 years and viral sites, so like general viral pages, that kind of thing. So the quizzes are basically the thing that I've been doing the most, but they've actually been doing really well. So on the content monetization, I've been making 3 times the revenue on the posts than I have been for the links. So I started thinking maybe I should branch out into other niches, which is what I'm doing now. So there's some really good niches you can do for content monetization that may not necessarily be so good for links. So stuff like nostalgia, kind of fishing, hobbies, that kind of thing, that work really well. You get so much engagement. You can actually make some really good money on Facebook itself. And you don't have to worry about building a website or anything like that.
So I think we'll get into keeping people on Facebook versus pushing people off of Facebook and the different approaches there. But from a high level, like what type of revenue are you talking about from like 25 pages? Because I know that's taking you a long time to build up. So to be fair, like if you're just listening to this and you've got one page, that's going to be very different. But what type of revenue can people look at when it comes to moving into a Facebook environment and running a bunch of pages?
Well, it's been a bit of a moving target because they kind of change stuff all the time, especially because it's in beta. But what we're seeing is for around 1 million views, people are earning about $100, which doesn't, it sounds like a lot, 1 million views, but on Facebook, I got 1 million views on one reel the other week, over 24 hours. So the potential there is to get millions of views a day across multiple pages. So if you're just starting out, you'll maybe make $10, $20 a day, but as you scale up, the potential's there to make 20, 30,000 a month. I mean,
Yep.
there's some people making 6 figures a year at the moment. There's maybe more. Some of them are in my group, but one person got $765 for one post. So the potential is there to earn really good money. You don't have to build a website. So for a lot of people, that was the kind of barrier to doing Facebook traffic. But now that's gone. You can just earn traffic directly from content on Facebook.
Hey everyone, Jared here. Just a quick word before we get back into the interview. So, we talk a lot on this show about how AI is reshaping search. And the reality is, if tools like ChatGPT, Perplexity, or Google's AI don't recognize your brand, you're going to be increasingly invisible going forward. As you might know, I run a digital marketing agency called 201 Creative, and my team and I just built something brand new, the GEO Snapshot Audit. It shows how AI is seeing your business across 5 essential categories and what's missing so you can start showing up in AI driven results. For a limited time, I'm offering Niche Pursuits listeners a free GEO snapshot, complete with your visibility score and next steps on how to improve it. So grab yours now at 201creative.com/GEO snapshot. Again, that's 201creative.com/GEO snapshot. Spots are limited, so don't wait to grab yours now. All right, back to the podcast. Is there a bit of a standard? You got 25. Are they incredibly variable in terms of what they earn? Or is there some sort of norm of sorts where they land after a period of time?
The theory is, and it's not been proven, that if you're in a niche like auto or finance, where there is a potential to make money, then you get paid more, but it's not proven. But I've actually seen like fishing pages that do really well. So I don't think it's so much like SEO where you have to be in like very high paying niches. I think it's more complex than that. But yeah, I'm generally seeing higher quality pages with no kind of restrictions on the page tend to earn most. That's what I'm seeing. So high quality, organic, um, original content. That's what Facebook wants, and that's what it's going to reward people for. If you can't just copy content from a different page and put it on anymore, it's not going to work. They've got an algorithm change that rewards originality very strongly. And even today, I've seen a post on Twitter. Somebody's figured out that the originality scoring is very strong. So the days of copy and pasting on Facebook are over as from this month.
And where are you at in terms of earnings or in terms of revenue? I know there's a lot of there's costs that go into it in terms of the content monetization program, 25 sites. Where does that land for you?
Almost every page has been invited, even ones with about 12,000 followers. And on those, my best pages, they earn about maybe $10 for 100K views. So it's pretty good. I mean, it's thousands a month and it's growing. I'm actively building more pages and niches that are good for content monetization, which is the best thing to do, to try and figure out what pages are the easiest to create original content for and pay pretty good. And then just double down because you need to scale horizontally. You need about 5 to 10 pages to actually earn thousands a month. And, but it's quite straightforward. As I said on my previous podcast visit, it's this stuff is so much more simple than SEO. There's so much less to worry about. It's really it's very good fun because you're basically just a pure content creator, and you can focus on creating quality original content. And it's not so technical, not anymore.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty gritty of it, and maybe the best place to start is the content monetization program. It's undergone a lot of changes. A lot of people will be familiar with the idea of trying to get a Facebook page to be monetized by them. And again, the idea there is then that Facebook is paying you based on the amount of traffic that you're generating, the amount of clicks that your posts are getting, the amount of engagement they're getting. That's gone through a lot of changes. A lot of people, I will say, I'm just going to say this from the outside. I've talked to a lot of people that have kind of given up on
Mhm.
trying to get their page into the monetization program because they don't understand it. They don't understand what triggers happen.
Yeah.
So maybe, yes, what's changed? Yes, where are we at now? But also to talk to that person who's maybe a bit frustrated in terms of not understanding what it looks like to get their page accepted.
Yeah, so basically, you need to have a page that's healthy to start with. So if you've got a history of violations on Facebook, you're probably not going to get accepted. You need to grow the page in the way that you would grow it for traffic. So you basically need to buy followers up to 10, 12,000, which is actually not very expensive these days. We found out some techniques. You can actually buy followers, quality followers in the US for around about a cent. So that's really good. That means you can grow the pages quite cheaply and quite quickly. So the main thing is that you need to be posting consistently engaging content. That seems to be the biggest problem. So people who are actually finding old pages and not getting accepted into content monetization, the best thing to do is start posting original content. That seems to be the thing that's getting the invites. And I think the reason I got invites on all of my pages was because I was consistently posting original content. So that's the main thing to do. Just be active on Facebook and make sure you have enough followers. Those seem to be the two biggest things that we're seeing at the moment. And it can be frustrating. You do have to wait. It is an invite program, but I've seen that people that actually have enough followers and do post are getting those invites eventually.
Is it a lot of people will experience a page that gets a post will go viral and it will really pad the stats in terms of views and potentially, the engagement metrics. Is it more a case of building that consistent engagement on a per post basis that helps you get accepted?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you have to have a certain amount of engagement. If you've got zero engagement on every post, you're not going to get invited. But I mean, the thing is with Facebook, it's a case of you're always chasing those viral posts. So what I'm looking for is 1 or 2 viral posts a day because that makes 95% of the income. It makes 95% of the new followers to the page. But I mean, just to get invited, you're going to have to make sure you're getting a decent amount of engagement on every post. And even if that means dropping back to maybe, I mean, 6 to 12 posts a day is plenty to get invited. So you don't have to put 24 posts a day on. Not if you just want to get invited onto the program. It's also quite easy to get kicked off of it. So you want to make sure that you're very white
Okay.
hat because when you get kicked off, it's the biggest suck. So you want to make sure that you're very white hat and you need to avoid anything that's going to be upsetting to Facebook. And they also don't like certain things like videos made from images that don't really move, that kind of thing. That's also going to get you demonetized. So it's good to know the rules before you get into this so you don't accidentally get kicked off of it because you're not getting invited back on if you are, especially when waiting a couple of months.
What is I know there's no typical, but just to give people a framework, I'm starting today, or I've been running a page, but doing it all wrong, not breaking rules, but not doing the proper engagement tactics. Like if I'm posting 6 to 12 a day, assuming I'm doing a decent job at creating original content, are we talking months or has that changed since the program has changed?
It's
Is it
changing
longer?
constantly, but we're way more rapid now in the last couple of months than they have been for years. So many people in my mastermind are saying, "Oh, I've finally been invited," and then it's really happening now for people. And I've seen that you don't need a huge amount of posts or a huge amount of followers anymore that you used to have. So I think for people who are joining now, they're going to be maybe 2 to 3 weeks as long as they're posting content. As long as the page is more than kind of 12K followers, that's what I've seen. So I mean, some of my pages are like 14K, and they're all been invited. So
So To get started, we need to buy our way to 10,000. The reason is because it's quicker, because it's easier. It's way quicker. Do I need to do any targeting when I do this? Because here's a question I hear from time to time, and I think it's a valid question. It's a question I've had. Like, if I'm doing a Facebook page all about hiking, I'll put that out there because I'm going to go for a hike this afternoon, and I'm doing one all about hiking. Do I need to target people who are interested in hiking? So once I hit that 10, 12,000, they are going to be engaging with my content,
Yeah.
or am I getting a page to 10 to 12,000 because that's what Facebook needs to even think about accepting me, and then their algorithm will do the work of finding all the people to engage with it.
Yeah, you don't want to go too broad, you don't want to go too narrow. So you want to kind of basically target people who are into hiking for sure, but don't get too niche about it. So we want to get our followers from tier one countries as well. So US is going to pay more content monetization than say South America, maybe Brazil, something like that. So you're still looking for good quality followers that you're buying directly from Facebook. You're not buying them from some third party kind of bot traffic and stuff like that. So it's more difficult when you talk about stuff like nostalgia or viral stuff, because then it's really hard to target people.
Yeah, like
I mean,
quizzes. I mean, that would be hard to target
yeah,
people.
it's really hard to target. So you tend to target ages in certain countries. That's really all you can do. But it's much easier if you have like a hiking page, a camping page, a fishing page. I've seen a huge amount of success in those outdoor niches. Even for like shops and outdoor shops have been posting stuff and then really banking from content monetization as a kind of side hustle. So it's, but you do have to kind of keep those followers as good quality as you can. So, but once you bought the first 10,000, you don't need to spend any more money. You're going to grow organically from there. And one post can bring you, you know, thousands of new followers overnight. So it happens quite quickly once you've got the hang of posting the kind of content that resonates. So obviously, if you buy 10,000 people are into hiking, make sure you post hiking content. Don't go posting random quizzes and stuff from entertainment. It's not going to work out. And once they're hooked on the kind of content you put on, they're very hard to kind of change direction. So what happens is your content ends up looking very similar, and that's fine. Most pages content is similar if it's successful.
I don't want to get too deep into it because I want to focus on some of the other things we have, but general tips at the advertising side of things. I say ad, but buying followers, doing it for a price that's really reasonable. What type of content, what type of ad, what type of approach are you taking to buying those followers for, because it is about economics, right? You don't want to spend a ton of
Yeah.
money out of the gate on that.
No, we need to target not too broad, not too narrow. So you're talking maybe 50 to 100 million potential people. When you run the ads, you'll see a gauge that tells you how many people you're targeting. So, I mean, at the moment, Facebook's pretty good at broad targeting. So even if you go very broad with hiking, you're still probably gonna do okay. The biggest lever you've got is the creative, because the advert image, and I would just use an image. Don't worry about video. That's the thing that's going to pre-qualify the audience. So obviously you want to use a hiking person. Now, AI is great for this. So just use a Sora or Midjourney image. The thing we found that drives the cost down is actually a text at the top saying, "Do you love hiking?" And then at the bottom you say, "Press the thumb," and you have a little finger pointing down towards the follow button as it appears on a mobile phone, because most people on Facebook are on mobile. And that simple trick really is actually the thing that's driving sub 2 cents a click. So you can kind of go deeper into it, but the best thing to do is keep it simple. That buying the page followers should be an extremely simple process, and it's something that you kind of want to not overthink. Great
Let's
colors work too, by the way.
I mean, we could do an entire. I feel like we could do an entire episode just on that, and I would
Jump.
actually like to do that. But let's stick to the agenda for today. I don't want to bury you with too many questions about that. I want to talk about something you've already said 3 or 4 times. It's in our agenda, and it's this idea of original content, almost segueing into, hey, we've got our 10,000 followers. Let's move on from that. So that's an open-ended term. Original content, good high
Yeah.
quality content, right? High quality. Like, in the past we've been taught to emulate successful pages, right? Hey, you're in the hiking niche, go look at what other hiking content is working well, post a lot of that same stuff. Like, has much changed in that world? What is high quality right now?
Well, the thing about Facebook is it's one of the few platforms that's not going actually not reducing AI. So we have a golden opportunity here. We can use AI. And that's really two things have come together over the past year or so, is that the content monetization's come along and it pays well. and we have AI. So it's really, I mean, I use a $20 a month Sora subscription, which I can make unlimited content. So the way to is still to go from what works. So if you're in the camping niche, I'd find a successful camping page like Camperville, which has been really blowing up with AI content. And then what I do is basically I will download those images from the page, but I will not take those images and put them onto my pages. I mean, that's basically stealing content, and now you can't do that on Facebook anyway. What I do is I upload them to ChatGPT. I ask it to create a Sora prompt for an image or a reel, and then I'll actually create the image from that. So you've got the same context, the same message. Possibly I might change the message, and then I'm creating my own content, and that's original and laugh. And that's kind of my tactic at the moment. And you can do that. Like I sat down last Sunday and made about 300, which is enough for a month or so at least of original content. And by original, you can repost your own stuff,
Hmm.
but you can repost your own stuff over and over again. That will still be original. It's when you take it from other pages that's not original.
What does what when it comes to this approach, is that what's driving most of your success right now? Is an AI driven approach of
Yeah,
undoing what's working well? And if
yeah.
that is,
AI has changed everything.
yeah,
So, for example, with Toby posts, that's text on image background, extremely successful. They're just text posts, but you get paid for them. I mean, you get paid on my own pages. The most profitable ones are images, the post type. Then it's reels, then it's Toby's, but they're just text, so they're so easy to do. So what I'll do is if I find a page that's successful with these text posts, I'll basically copy off maybe 25, feed those into ChatGPT and ask it to create 25 more, but different. And then if you say, okay, I want these for the hiking niche, create me 50 in the hiking niche, you've got your content. It's as easy as that. And then you can post that onto what I recommend doing, you've got a brand new hiking page, you've got 10,000 followers, just post Toby posts for the first month, free ChatGPT. Just make sure you don't use any guesswork. Don't use your intuition.
yeah.
Go and find a successful outdoor page. Basically, copy what they're doing, feed that through the AI system to create brand new content that's similar but different. That is the best approach right now. And try and schedule this every hour, even on a page with 10K, because content monetization is kind of a numbers game as well. So with links, you can get away with, when I drive links to say quiz sites, I could get away with about 6 links a day to drive quite a lot of traffic. But with content monetization, you want to really ramp up your posting frequency up to 48 times a day, as long as it's engaging content.
Right.
So obviously you'll make more money.
Would
So
you say that,
AI plus content monetization it's a golden opportunity at the moment.
and is that the focus for most people right now is, hey, I don't want to say forget the links, but the focus, right? The primary driver is let's keep people on the platform. Let's go for content monetization. And that means posting tons of engaging content. Don't worry
Mhm.
about the links. Keep people there and find what works and do it over and over and over again.
To a certain extent, but I've found that if you add a link into an image in the first comment, it actually increases reach. So you
Oh,
can actually earn more by adding links into the first comment. And some people have been saying this that goes against everything we've known so far, that adding a link into the status area above an image is actually increasing content monetization. So at the moment, it's a real playground of experiments to try and figure out what works. Obviously, Facebook, they're changing the goalposts all the time,
yep.
but kind of less than they were before. They're kind of almost at production stage where they're going to stop tweaking everything, and we can kind of get more science on this and less guesswork. But what we've seen is that you can use a mix of links and content monetization. It doesn't hurt the content monetization to send traffic as well. You're increasing your revenue.
Let's get it a little bit into your workflow. If you could talk about a successful workflow, maybe almost continuing along the timeline we've been discussing, where we've gotten our page to 10,000 likes. We've moved on from that. We've started to create content. We've figured out how to do that by finding what's working really well, using AI to help us in terms of not guessing, but focusing on what's working and then trying to emulate that on our page. What's a workflow look like for you? You kind of hinted at it. You're like, hey, I just did this, and that's gonna be a month's worth of content right there. Like, what's a workflow look like for you with AI, with the new content monetization program going forward?
So obviously we want to automate as much as we can. So what I'll do is I'll think of everything as in like buckets. So like content buckets. So I've got a bucket of reels and I've got a bucket of Toby posts that are in a spreadsheet and I've got a bucket of images. So you have to systemize stuff because you're going to be posting thousands of pieces of content. So if you don't have a system, it's not going to work for you when you start scaling, that is. So basically, I'll sit down and I'll always bulk generate kind of 50 to even 500 pieces of content at a time. So I don't use any guesswork. So whatever niche I'm in, I'm going to go to look at some other pages. And I use a tool called Apify, which is just Facebook will not let you access any metrics on posts via the API, the Facebook API. We used to do that a lot, but that all changed a few years ago. So I use a tool called Facebook Post Scraper on Apify, and it basically, like when you're looking for a timeline on Facebook, you say, oh, that's gone viral, that's gone viral. All this does is just put it into a spreadsheet for you. You can do like 1,000 posts. Then I'm going to put that into a Google Sheet, and I'm going to basically see which one's the most viral by sorting the sheets by the most viral posts. Then I'll take the top 25, and if they're images, I'm going to use those. So like Toby posts and that kind of thing. I don't really worry about links and reels as well. So I'm going to try and create about 250 images in that niche. And that's going to be my content for the next maybe 3 to 6 months on that page. So the basic workflow is once those are in a spreadsheet, I'm going to use Post Planner, bulk upload CSV file. And that's going to upload 3 days to a week's worth of content. So I can then walk away from that and go on and do the next thing. So I'll grow a page to about 40, 50,000 followers organically from 10,000. Then I'm going to scale horizontally. So what that means is if you're saying the camping niche, I might do a wild camping page. So it's a sub niche of the niche. So if I've got a fishing page, I might do a river fishing page, but it's close enough. So you want to scale out to about 3 to 5 pages in that niche. And the thing is, you can use the same content on those pages, or you can just add some more, like maybe 100 more reels or 100 more images to that post. And I'm going to basically schedule to all of them, but mix it up. So the last thing you want to do is schedule the same post to 5 pages at the same time. That's going to look spammy. So we just mix it up in the spreadsheet. And that's basically how I grow horizontally across different niches. So you kind of want to get all your pages up to well over 50,000, then you're going to see some really good income.
Okay, so you talked about having pages, multiple pages in one niche,
Mhm,
one broad niche. Now, you talked also about originality. Is
mhm.
there a conflict of interest in terms of publishing the same type of stuff into different pages of yours? Or does Facebook somehow determine that these are all part of the same broadcaster?
No, it doesn't work like that. I mean, it's kind of original but similar looking. So you'll notice that the kind of content you'll end up posting that people respond to will look very similar. It might be kind of with fishing, it might be a certain kind of people being seeing a lot of success with comedy in so like funny camping posts and stuff, funny dog posts, dog niche is really good. Oh, by the way, there's no such thing as oversaturation. You can have 10,000 camping pages and you'll do absolutely fine. It's over 3 billion people and they're all hungry for good content. So it's not like SEO where you're trying to get to number one. You're just trying to basically put out a lot of content. So yeah, I mean, it needs to be different enough than other posts, but it's only like a 10 to 20% difference I've
Mm.
seen people report that they tweaked the font on a meme, and that's probably gonna be enough. I mean, we don't know for sure. I think it's about 20% original until we sort of start getting more signals from Facebook about what originality means, then they'll probably change the thresholds anyway. But I just try and make stuff, you can clearly see it's different. But the captions that people are using at the moment are old captions that we've been posting for the last decade.
Yeah.
So the same, in fact, there's some pages I've been studying recently, and what they do is they create this kind of AI, kind of like a gorilla, like a cuddly gorilla, in a reel or an image, and then you put the most dusty old caption on top, and they're doing crazy stuff. So like if you think about a page with 100,000 followers, well, they're getting 100,000 reactions on these posts, so that's 100% engagement ratio. So you can imagine the amount they're making. I mean, they're getting millions, tens of millions of views on every single post, but they're just taking an old caption and they're giving it a modern layout and a modern, theme using AI. And that's a great thing to do. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You're just presenting an effective oral caption in a new format, basically.
And again, if you're listening and you're watching me ask questions, but not ask other questions, a lot of that is strategic because we've had Andy on a couple years ago and he got super into the weeds. And so, again, I just want to encourage you, go back and listen to that. I'm trying to ask questions about what's changed, what's different, utilizing AI in a different way, but I'm also leaving out some questions because we covered it in depth 2 years ago. So,
Sure.
just a reminder, go back and listen to
Yeah.
that too if you're wondering about some of the gaps there. And a gap, something that's changed a lot, is image and video creation. Years
Mm.
ago, and forgive me, I might get it exactly wrong, but there was Canva involved, there was stock images involved, there was your own photography involved, there was adding your overlays on top of things. It was a huge portion of the workflow, and you've alluded to really using AI for that. Talk through how we're actually getting images nowadays with the use of AI and even videos to some degree.
Canva's taken a bit of a back seat. So it's only been in the last 6 months we've been able to render reliable text over image and video, and that's because of the tool. I used to use Midjourney, but it could never do text.
Right.
Now with Sora, which people think is a video, actually is a very powerful image generator.
Hmm.
It's the same image generate. If you go into ChatGPT and you put in generate me an image, it's the same thing as that, but it's in its own kind of it's its own kind of navigational desktop thing. So basically what we do is we can take an image and mean with text and we can feed that into Sora and it will produce perfect text, which we've only been able to do for the last kind of 6 months or so. So that's really been a massive game changer because one of the biggest pains I've had is adding text overlays, and it creates you can do it, but you need tons of code or expensive tools and stuff like that. Or you have to do it, have to hire a VA to do it one by one. Where AI has absolutely changed the game. You can specify the different fonts or the meme styles and that kind of thing. So for the most part, Sora is actually the thing that's allowing me to produce bulk content with the text on top and not having to go into Canva and do it. It's the same with reels and stuff. So the video is less reliable. So people are still having to use Canva to put text over a reel or Camtasia or something like that, some video editing software. But I'm sure that within the next 6 months, you'll be able to do pretty perfect video with text on top as well. So it's all changing so fast, but it's the easiest thing at the moment to actually create those kind of images and reels that are extremely effective on Facebook.
And I think that's important to keep in mind. Like, it's the concepts that people need to learn. We've hit a point where AI can successfully do text over image, where they can successfully kind of blend the whole thing. That hasn't been the case for a while. Whether it's Sora at the time of you listening to this, whether it's something that's changed or different, maybe Midjourney has caught up. Who knows? But I think it's kind of the concepts of what can and
Mhm.
can't be used right now. And a couple years ago, that
So,
was not the case.
no,
Um, let me ask you a bit about um, how how the monetization side of things is working nowadays. We haven't really touched on monetization. It's been kind of this, you're going to earn money if you do these things right.
no.
How does that look for a page that's growing, and just trying to walk people through what to expect within, within the range of understanding that that's very quite variable.
Yeah, I mean, the worst part is waiting for the invite, and you don't know if you've got some sort of shadow ban. So basically, Facebook never forgets, and I've just been hit on one of my pages for reels because I did something I wasn't supposed to do about 7 years ago. So
Oh
people
boy.
forget, and that's why it makes it difficult to buy Facebook pages because you don't really know what's happened in the past. It's always best to make them from scratch, and they're clean and healthy. So assuming the page is healthy, you just have to wait for that monetization. Then as soon as you get it, it's actually quite simple. That they basically add up the money you've earned on each post, and you get a monthly payment to your bank. So that side of the stuff has been this kind of you do have to start with your bank details and stuff, but yeah, it's really straightforward and really they've been quite reliable at paying as well. So so far.
The bulk of your income, would you say it's from viral content, content that goes viral? That's where kind of, if you were to look at the 80/20 of it, or is it, is that less of where the income comes, or do you not even know? Is it just a check at the end of the month and you're like, well, I got this many
Well, you
views
can,
this month and I earned
yeah,
this much money.
yeah, that they're still rolling out that you only were able to see it on mobile until about 4 months ago. And now you can actually see how much you've earned on every post, which is very insightful because without that, we wouldn't really know what we're doing is right. So in the new pages experience in the latest version of when you go, if you switch into your page and you go into your page metrics. If it's up to date, you're going to have a sortable table, and you can sort by monetization. So that's a huge deal, because then you can look at your top 25 earning posts and say, what did I do right? Because you would
Mm.
want to double down on what works. And what you need to do is basically cut anything that doesn't work. So over every kind of couple of weeks or month, I'll go through all of my posts in the back end, and I'll basically say, all right, I'm not posting these again. These 20% can be killed. But these 20% I've made the most money from, how can I make 20 more of those for each one? So that's the process I go for. And that's how to maximize the earnings, because, and that's how everything ends up looking kind of similar, because your audience gets very hooked on a certain kind of content. You're not going to be doing wildcard stuff. You can do some experiments, like 20% of your timeline can be an experiment, but for the most part, you're feeding your audience what it is they want to see. So
Mhm.
variations on that.
Mhm. How have you found video content to perform, especially now that you're able to look at how it's performing on the monetization side of things? Does it drive a lot more engagement? Does it drive a lot more
Yeah.
monetization, like, or both?
Yeah, Reels are massive. In fact, they're the second biggest earner on my pages, and they get insane reach. The reach is very fast with Reels because they exist in their own timeline. So you see the normal timeline on Facebook, well, they're in a little horizontal timeline, all on their
Mhm.
own, and that brings in like 95+% non-followers. So you can imagine that the normal ratio is kind of between 10 and 90% followers on posts, but with Reels, it's almost always 90% non-followers who haven't seen your page yet. So it's the best thing to actually bring in new followers is posting Reels. The only downside to Reels at the moment is it's so easy to get slapped for them. So if you've got any kind of background music, man, it's just a minefield. The moment they said you can't have Reels that don't have enough animation in them. So if you got like a static background with text on top, okay, you're going to lose your content monetization, and your reach is going to go down. And once you've got one post that's been kind of slapped, then the other posts will kind of not be, they won't get the reach either. And also, if you have like slideshows, there's quite a few. There's like 5 or 6 real types they don't like at the moment. So they do have to be pretty good. They do have to be like an actual kind of film. But again, with AI, with VO3, for example, which is producing the best reels at the moment, but it's quite expensive. That's what they want. They don't want this kind of old fashioned kind of content.
Probably a good time. My first thing I wrote down from my notes so far is what is upsetting to Facebook? Like, what don't they like? What are things that are going to get you flagged and get you in trouble?
Unfortunately, the rules have grown massive lately. There's like 4 different pages of it with rules you have to
Oh,
learn. But
geez.
if you want to make money on Facebook, you're gonna have to learn these. And they're not all about kind of like gore and violence. I really hate that. I mean, there's people in my mastermind that had their accounts shut down for that. So, and they didn't realize because they weren't watching their content closely enough, which is like, people keep saying to me, why don't you automate all of your Facebook with N8N and all that stuff? I said I could, but I need heavy human oversight. I got to make sure every post doesn't break the terms of service. And I only need about 500 posts for like 2 months of content. So I'd rather just have heavy human oversight anyway, because there are so many rules I have to bear in mind, even with backgrounds on reels and that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, you do need to know the community guidelines, the terms of service, and also there's a whole set of sub rules for content monetization. And as I said, it's easy to get kicked off. So you need to know this stuff. Well, I mean, there's a million things you can do, but there's like these 12 things you can't, and you need to know that, because it sucks.
What are the big ones? Like, what are the ones that you're constantly struggling with? The ones, or maybe in that vein, a second question would be, what are the ones that are a little bit more nuanced? That if, for example, somebody like me were to go read them, I wouldn't pick up on some of the nuances of the rules. So maybe a two-part question: like, what are the big ones that you're struggling with, and what are the ones that are more nuanced that would be harder to interpret from those rules?
The big ones at the moment are basically adult content, gore, violence, that kind of thing. The thing that Facebook really hate is calling out a group of people. If you do any of that kind of stuff, calling out a group of people, you'll get kicked off of Facebook so fast, you'll be flying. But what they're not worried about now is political content. They've actually wide opened the doors, about a year ago, to political content again. So you can actually post political opinions and stuff, and they're not fussed. They were fussed before. So that's actually opened up a lot. So you don't need to be so afraid to voice your political opinions. And that actually leads to some extremely engaging posts, and a lot. There's a whole kind of subset of political posting that's happening that's earning lots from content monetization. It's becoming its own kind of thing at the moment. So the more subtle ones are generally the kind of layouts of your images and stuff. So there's, like I say, there's certain things like if you have a looping background on a reel. So say you made a 10-second video in Sora, because unless you pay a lot of money, you can only do short clips. If you loop that for like 10 seconds and 5 seconds, you get your monetization taken away. So obviously that's really subtle, which is why you need to know. I didn't know, and it affected some of my pages. So you have to be very white hat, you have to be kind of granny friendly. You see a lot of pages with like adult jokes and stuff, but I do know that those page owners are always complaining about being put in Facebook jail and not being able to post for a couple of weeks. It's not great. So you don't need to do anything apart from white hat on Facebook, because it's so easy to earn money without any sort of shonky tactics or anything like that. So.
Is this part of the reason why you have 25 pages? Is it because even with your best efforts to keep up with what is and isn't allowed, it's always changing, it's complicated, it's nuanced, it varies, it's open to interpretation? Is that part of the game? Is just understanding that if you go all in on one, two, or three pages, like the chances that you will be able to keep all the balls up in the air properly throughout the course of the time with that is just maybe a bit too big of a risk?
To a certain extent, but I mean, if you get a lot of problems with your pages, it reflects on your whole Facebook account, and every page you create will be affected. So you don't get away with just having kind of pages that are knocked down like Skittles. It'll get back to you eventually. But I'm small. Like I know people with 500 pages and they're raking it in. Obviously you need some serious systems for that. So yeah, it's just more that I just want to be in every single niche, because I know so many profitable niches I'd love to be in. I mean, it's just there's so many opportunities. I'd love to have 100 pages, and the experiments you can run where you kind of have multiple pages and then you cross post viral content, kind of you can basically treble your income if you've got multiple pages in similar niches. So I'd love to be doing kind of 5 or 10 of those a day. I should also add that there's a lot of people noticing that if they engage with their comments, they're earning a lot more. So there is definitely an argument to having maybe a smaller amount of pages, but you're very engaged with. So maybe you got 5 pages, but you answer all the comments. And people are saying it's really helping their monetization. They're getting much more money.
Wow, so interesting. It's a good segue. I wanted to ask a question about this. We're kind of starting to come to an end here, but we focused exclusively on building pages, mostly around the content monetization program. But you mentioned that links still help in many ways add
Mhm.
value, actually help your page. Like, are you still seeing earnings from other things besides just the content monetization program? And if so, we talk a lot on this podcast about how to create a piece of content and then get the maximum value for it. What
Mhm.
are ways that people can get maximum value for the content they're creating? Yes, creating primarily for Facebook, but are there other ways you're earning money from that content beyond just the monetization program?
Sure, I'm still earning lots from links. And I've seen a lot of pages still doing merchandise. Just today I saw a page, every post was a t-shirt. So those days are definitely not over. The holy grail to me is having both. So the perfect page for me is every post is an image post, and that image post is viral and it's making money from content monetization. And I have a link in the first comment going to one of my websites. So I'm basically doubling the revenue. For me, that's the most interesting thing. But obviously, there's a lot of ways you can earn money from Facebook. You can post Amazon links directly in Facebook. They let you do that. There's so many platforms that don't. So yeah, I mean, it depends what you want, what you're interested in, really. If you enjoy creating content, you're in a niche that you enjoy, like fishing. I would just, yeah, I mean, you can make a website and send links to it, and it works great still. But I mean, content monetization, the barrier of entry is so low, and you can test stuff out. So for me, it's much more interesting at the moment than links.
I know you have a bunch of involvement with students of yours. You have a mastermind. Like, talk a little bit about what you're doing to help others succeed on Facebook. You've been doing that for a while. I know it's tied
Mhm.
to Hike Your Likes, and I've taken part actually in one of your courses from a year or two ago. But where
Mhm.
is that at now? Where are you spending your time when it comes to that?
Yeah, so in my mastermind, there's I mean, there's hundreds of students now. So a lot of my time is actually helping those students out. From some of the students are just starting out and they're just starting to grow their pages, and there's a lot of kind of 101 questions there. But we've also got some people that are incredible. I mean, there's a lot of people in there that are making 4, 5 figures a month. Um, and they've got a lot of pages and they really know what they're doing. So they're getting into the kind of really advanced tactics as well. So yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. I mean, I spend probably about an hour a day just talking to students and kind of helping them out to kind of grow their pages and grow their monetization. And a lot of them still are very much interested in sending traffic to their website as well. So that's not gone away.
And we didn't talk about that, but it's obvious, I think, for people listening. Like, if you're able to send even some of that traffic to your website, you're monetized
Mhm.
via an ad network. You have all the other things going for a traditional website that we've always talked about here. Like you said, you're double dipping. You can then triple dip, build an
Yeah.
email list. Like, in many ways, yes, the percentage of people that are going to go from your Facebook post to your website are small, but like you said, it's not hard to get 1 million, 2 million, 3 million people to engage
No.
with a post of yours. So you don't need a high percentage of those. And so there's a lot of different ways to double and triple dip.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a guy called Jeff Rose. He's recently been all over social media because he's been making 120,000 from content monetization on a financial Facebook page. And yeah, he said, I didn't really was interested in Facebook until they pay me hundreds of dollars for this one viral post. And then you got kind of interested in it and ended up making 6 figures a year. And that's in the financial niche, which is traditionally a really hard niche to actually get engagement from and make money from. So he ended up releasing a course and just going really into it. So yeah, I mean, there's a huge opportunity at the moment, and we're very early to it as well. So normally the worst thing about doing an online business is you arrive just as everybody's leaving the pitch and they've
Yep.
made all the money. Well, this is actually an opportunity that's just come along. It's still in beta, and so few people know about it. They're all worrying about YouTube Shorts and stuff. Well, this is an opportunity like YouTube Shorts, but hardly anyone is talking about it or doing it or trying to figure out the science. So if you get in now, you're actually going to be really early to this, and there's no saturation at all.
Andy, we'll include a link in the show notes to what you have going on. I have done personally, just a little thing. I've done a couple one-on-one calls with you over the years about Facebook, and you're incredibly informed and very helpful. So I'll say that. Not a part of your community, but definitely have enjoyed some of the more advanced takes you've had on some of the stuff that we've done. It's good to have you back for a second time. I know the first one was super well received. I'm sure this one will be the same way.
Like I said,
And
I can talk about stuff for hours. It's really
I
interesting. I
It
think
is
so for me
fascinating, and
anyway.
it's cool to see that you've evolved with Facebook as it's evolved. It's cool to see the monetization program continuing to evolve. I think a lot of people, and we would talk about in the news episode. I remember a year or two ago
Mm.
with Spencer doing his page and talking about, like, we didn't know if it was, like you said, it was beta, and we didn't know how long it was going to be around for, if it was going to be around for. But it's really neat to see it being here for 2 to 3 years and evolving, which is such a good sign for where it could go going forward. It's not going away.
No, it's just been born, and it's just going to be a couple of years. I think a couple of years for people that figure this out is going to be really good. And it should be stable for a while. And at the moment, they've been messing around with it quite a lot, but I think we're really going to pin down the science of this really soon. And once we do that and we figure out what signals are actually rewarding the posts that are getting the content monetization, there's going to be some big money made. I mean, Facebook have paid out £2 billion to content creators in the past year. Just people like me, it's people like you. So anybody can do it. Anybody can throw up a page, couple of $100 to get the first 10,000 likes, and then you're good to go. You just start posting content. And it's, like I said before, with traffic, it's really good fun. It's the most fun platform. It's way, way quicker than SEO. It's way quicker than YouTube, like probably by a factor of 25. So you can throw a page up and be earning next month. So that's the thing. I'm massively impatient. I want to be earning money tomorrow. And Facebook's the only platform that allows you to do that at the moment.
Love it. I'm sure that's going to pique a lot of people's interest. Andy, thanks for coming back on. Another great
Yeah, no
episode.
problem.
Appreciate you. Yeah, we'll talk again soon. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye, Jared.
Hey, before we wrap up, quick reminder. If you want to see how AI tools like ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Google actually see your brand, check out the new GEO snapshot audit from my agency, 201 Creative. It shows how visible your business really is across 5 key categories and what to fix so you start showing up in these AI-driven results. And for a limited time, I'm giving Niche Pursuits listeners a free GEO snapshot, complete with your visibility score and next steps to improve it. So you can grab that at 201creative.com/GEO snapshot. Again, that's 201creative.com/GEO snapshot. Claim your spot before they're all gone. All right, have a good one.